So you mentioned that you're evangelical.
Yes.
And usually one would, and maybe I'm just being sort of obtuse here. I would have assumed many evangelicals tend to gravitate towards the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
And so I'm curious, obviously you were supportive of Republicans in the past with George H. Who is Yang the first Democrat you've supported?
No,
or
I voted for Obama twice.
Yeah.
And so, but you're right. There's a story. I'll tell it to you. So here's the thing. My parents were incredibly hardworking. And neither one of them went to college, but they told me you got to go to college. Right. And, or they just encouraged me. My parents were amazing. They were amazing parents, and they were both evangelical. And, they said, hey, you really should go to college. So I did. Right. Well, guess what? The first 60 credits of college is, it's called liberal arts. And that's where I became liberal. I really became liberal in college, right? And I voted for George H. Bush. I never voted for Clinton. I voted Republican against him, and then I voted for George W. Bush twice. When President Obama came up, in my heart, I kind of weep for what happened with this, with the 1619 problem. One of the reasons why we had the Civil War. And I really, in my heart, want to believe that I would have been an abolitionist, right? Or somebody who was on the, running with, So with that, right, when President Obama came, I was like, there's no way I'm going to pass up the opportunity to put in our first African-American president. So I voted for him twice. The first time when he won, I went to the Wawa. We have it's like a 7-Eleven, right? It's really nice. And there was an African-American man. I remember it to this day. The day after he was elected, I was getting like a candy bar at the Wawa. And this African-American man saw the paper and walked forward. And I just remember it to this day. And he stopped, and he couldn't even approach the paper that said President Obama was president, because he was looking at it with awe. And that was my first time really voting for a Democrat. And I was extremely happy with Obama as our first African-American president. I think it was a hinge in American history. And I'm really proud to be part of that. And then I couldn't vote for, and then the reason why I couldn't vote for Trump, I've been married 28 years, right? And I made a sacred oath to my wife. Well, Donald Trump's been married 3 times, so I can't really respect somebody who doesn't take, if he's not going to keep his promise to the person he loves the most, what on earth chance do I have that he's going to keep his promise to me? So and then when I saw Andrew Yang, it was the same thing. When I saw Andrew Yang, I heard all the UBI, blah, 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 right? What caught me was somebody said, what's the most fun you've had on the campaign trail? And he said, oh, well, the reality is I really miss my wife and kids. And I was like the second I heard that, I'm a Christian husband and a father, right? It locked in. I was like, holy cows, this guy is a dedicated husband and a dedicated father. That was it. Because the reality is I just don't believe for a second that Trump is either a dedicated husband or a dedicated father. And so that once I heard that, I was like, that's all the way with Yang. I'm ready.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if Trump often talks about, missing Melania and Barron and spending more time with the family. I don't think that's his mode of operation.
Well, I don't think he even can. When he uses the word family, what does that mean? So that's a really complicated question. There's like 3 sets. So, and honestly, I have a lot of respect, and I really am very careful about this because I never want to be dismissive because people have different experiences. But for me, when I choose my leader, I'm gonna rely on the things that are important to me, and that's important to me. I don't ask anybody else to vote on that fact. I'll bring people to Yang on other facts, but that was huge to me. I was like, he is a dedicated Christian. I don't think he's a Christian. He's a dedicated husband and a father. And that's huge. Like that's virtually my whole life, And so I'm like, and that really, it resonated.
Yeah. That's interesting because I think Andrew is secular. I think his wife is Christian and they go to church on Sundays. I think he joins them, but I don't think he is formally in a religion.
Now, believe it or not, that's incredibly uncommon in evangelical Christian churches. Just so you're aware, almost all churches that are actually moving forward and doing well today, they have a lot more women in the seats than men. It's really common. Actually.
Yeah. Now, technically, Trump is a Christian.
I don't think so. I know Trump isn't a Christian. Here's my take on that. Right. The way I know Trump isn't a Christian is they asked him, they said, Trump, are you a Christian? And he said the following. He said, of course I'm a Christian. I go to church. Any evangelical will tell you that is not how you get to church. That is not how you get to, that's not how you're saved. You're saved by the blood of Jesus Christ. You accept salvation, you request salvation, and then you are saved. You get the righteousness of Christ put upon you. If any kind of evangelical gives an answer that I go to church, that's actually a very Catholic answer in my opinion. Yeah,
A Catholic answer. I love it.
My mom's
hardcore. No. My mom's hardcore Roman Catholic, and they are big on the rules and sort of showing up at church at the right time and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And perhaps less so on actually living the principles.